Morning. I'm just going to change this angle. You know, they should do some comedy skit. I'm sure they do, about all these strange faces we make when we go into the screen. So guys, welcome. A beautiful welcome to you on a Monday morning here in the United States, but somewhere it's tomorrow. In Australia, it's already Tuesday. And I have my water here. But if for those of you in Australia, maybe you want a cocktail. I don't know. Rosemary, guess what? My air conditioning is broken.
Oh my.
So it's getting very, very warm. So guys, I have a great story. When I was single, I went for this hot date and I had a convertible car and I thought, no, I'm going near the ocean. I've got to get my hair looking gorgeous and I'm going to see this cute guy. So I'm going to put my roof over on my car. And then I go to this place on the beach, beautiful restaurant. And I'm thinking, what was I thinking? My hair's going to totally change. So as we're dining, the environment is attacking Vivian's hair. How many of you can relate to this? You do this beautiful hairstyle on yourself or your guests. They step outside and they turn into fuzzball, right? And no product in the world is going to like weigh their hair down. So I'm sitting there. Humidity is coming in. My hair was smooth and it starts to curl. And I'm watching this guy looking at me going, what's going on there? She's changing. So I go to the bathroom and I'm like a chia pet. My hair is completely changed in front of his very eyes. And the funny thing is, Rosemary, I could feel it changing. It was hysterical. So anyway, this may happen today. Today I may change in front of your very eyes from being polished to somewhat scary. But let's dive into our subject. And I want to just keep welcoming everyone as you join us today, not only here on Instagram, but we're also going out to Facebook and to YouTube. So a warm welcome. So Rosemary, what's our subject today?
Our subject is actually, well, first of all, I lost you on Instagram. So I'm still coming through StreamYard, but I lost you on Instagram. But
okay, hold on. Let me just go and get you. I think I know how to do this. So my friends on YouTube, just be patient as I'm getting pinged from my team, which is not very helpful because you're not here. All right. All right, let's see. I was wondering why you look so static, Rosemary. Are you able to come in now? Because today we have a really great subject, which Rosemary is going to share with you. Rosemary, are you able to come in to?
Nothing yet has come through.
Oh, okay. I will send you another request. And if we do not have success, then I would just repeat. Your questions and to our audience. This is the tedious part, isn't it? Just getting all this to happen.
Oh, it certainly is. It's technology. Don't we love it?
Yes, we do love it. So I'm just trying to find you again. You vanished. So Rosemary, while we're doing this, there you go. And where did you go? You keep vanishing. So Rosemary, what's our subject matter today?
So our subject is about staying inspired and being consistent in your creativity, like building on your creativity. I think a lot of times people get lost in their creativity and inspiration. So my first question for all of you out there, hello.
Are you able to get into
how do
Instagram?
you stay inspired?
Sorry to interrupt you. Are you able to get into Instagram? I sent you another link.
Let's see. I think I might be on. Yes. Hello. So our conversation for today is about staying inspired.
Yes.
And building on your creative. So my first question was for Max, is how do you stay inspired?
Rosemary, it's a really great subject. How do we stay inspired? Because I think we have to look at what excites us, and we have to look at it inside the industry as well as outside of the industry. So sometimes, for example, I've been working with Max on animations, and we've been animating our haircuts. And guys, if you haven't seen some of the cool animations we've been doing, check out the feed because we have a little sample. And today, just before we do an event, it's going to be at 1 o'clock. We're going to give you some really great animations and show you a really cool haircut today at 1. So come back at 1 for a little tease. But in our designer program, we have a lot of animations. And I have to tell you, working with Max on these animations has been amazing, because I've worked with technical diagrams for 40 years, right? But seeing it animated and understanding, where does hair live when it's in space, when we're cutting it, but more importantly, where does hair live when it lands down, right? Are we okay?
Yes, it's just technology.
Okay, so that's been a source of inspiration. So I'm inspired when from a technical perspective, I'm inspired by a photo, by some music, by some inspiration. And the great thing today is that we can all inspire ourselves, can't we? Because all we need to do is look through a feed on Instagram, archive some beautiful images that inspire us, go out there, recreate the look, do our own photo shoot, put those images up there, and we can inspire ourselves and we can inspire others. So I think that that's all very important. So inspiration, the number one thing to ask yourself is, what excites me? What would I do if I wasn't paid? How do I go out there and look for it? Because inspiration doesn't just fall upon you. The creative people that I know go out there and they look for it, and they have their creative antennas up all the time, looking for ideas, looking for inspiration, journaling, creating mood boards. So today, my question to you is, what are you passionate about? What's exciting to you? What in our industry is like that wow factor? And I think that that's so important, because that's where it begins. And like, I spent yesterday in the garden, and I love my garden, and I find it so inspiring to see a seed grow into a plant and grow into something really beautiful. And it's fascinating. For my garden to flourish, I need to put the right flower in the right environment, in the right soil, with the right amount of sunshine, with the right amount of water for tender care, and it will flourish. But if I put that same flower in the wrong environment, where it's not getting the water and it's not getting the sunshine and it's not getting everything it needs, it will not flourish. So that begs to question, where are you rooted? Where are you planted? Are you in a salon environment that makes you shine? Or are you in a salon environment that makes you shrink? And Rosemary, I'm sure you can relate to that, yes? All the different experiences you've had in our industry, all the different environments you've worked in that have been easy and hard, right?
Yes, yes. And, I'm so grateful to have people like you in my life, because you stretch me. You provide me the wings to fly, as well as the opportunity to check myself from within to be able to create throughout.
That's beautiful. And I think the other thing, Rosemary, is sometimes our inspiration comes from our heart. It's a heartfelt experience. And sometimes the inspiration is intellectual. And I think you have to know where those triggers are. I mean, I remember, as a kid, dating, where if he was some hot, cool guy, right, which generally they were, I was kind of lucky, it pushed me to try and be, my best version of myself, because, I wanted to impress this guy. But then when I was single for a while, and when, and now my donkey's crossed the bridge, so, all bets are off. But when I was single for a while, I didn't have that same drive and that same motivation as I had when I had a reason to. So I think part of inspiration is the why. Like, why do you want to do that? And does it inspire you? And does it bring something great? And then the other question, of course, Rosemary, is from that inspiration, how do you turn that to make money?
Yeah. Well, I also think it's important that, something you spoke about earlier is in regards to our conversation. If you've been learning from different facets. So do you draw your inspiration from specific people, or do you keep fishing for outside influences outside of the industry?
I think it's important, Rosemary, to have both. Industry people that you look to. Okay, so here, guys, I'm going to tell you a story that maybe surprise you. during the beginning of COVID, I went into shock because a big part of my business was live events. So obviously, we all know what happened with those. So losing 85% of your business when you're not expecting it is a shock. I've been in the online business for over 17 years. So I've been in this space a long time. So I know the challenges of the ups and the downs of having an online business. And there are plenty of them. I could write a book on that one, Rosemary. When I was feeling so sad about the world falling apart and everyone one spoke to was going through their own personal challenges, which I know so many of you went through, I thought, Viv, what do you do when you're feeling totally uninspired? I thought, I reach out to people better and more amazing than myself. I reach out to Viv's Hair Heroes. And I reached out to the most iconic, famous hairdressers in the world. And I said, I would love for you to share your story with me so I can feel inspired. I want you to teach me something so that I can learn because I'm uninspired. And I want to share it with everybody. I want them to see what it takes to have a successful thought, what it takes to be a winner, what it takes to get through adversity, and how to be teachable and learn from people and get uncomfortable. And so we started Hair Heroes, and it's been the most amazing journey. And we have our first segment in our series of Hair Heroes coming out on the 13th of June, which is Sunday at 2:00 with the fabulous Christopher Benson. So check out Hair Heroes then, because it's amazing. Plus we have some amazing hair heroes that you can check out on Vivian McKinder. And there's plenty more for you to look at as we go through this amazing journey. So the answer to that story is go and find them, right? And find that inspiration. So I think that's important.
Well, I love that you said that, because when I had the opportunity working with you through Hair Heroes, I learned so much about these specific artists. You know, I watched them from a distance and I appreciated their work from a picture or maybe a little blurb about them. So listening to their journey and how they've overcome adversities has given me hope, even behind the chair. I think a lot of times as a hairdresser, which brings me to my next question, is about Max. As he was saying, what do you do when you're doing, let's say, a bob and another bob and another bob and another bob? And it's not that you're not designing to that person, but how do you stay connected and engaged when you feel like, if I do one more bob, I'm going to shoot myself?
Sure. And I'm sure our wonderful colorists watching, for all of you who do lots of painting work, and especially with long hair, there's obviously the repetition, which is an important part of your success. But sometimes repetition, if you keep doing it, starts to get into a rut. And when we don't have the same excitement about doing it, it starts to feel so much like a routine and a rut, and it doesn't feel as inspiring as the first or the second time you did it. So my strategy whenever I've been doing things in that ilk is, I remember when I was in the salon, it would be like, oh gosh, I've already done like 3 of these today. How do I get through this? Well, now what I know that I didn't know is, right, really, really design to that person's face shape. Really let their face shape speak to you. And guys, on vivianmckinder.com, which I want you to go out and check after this, you will see who is sitting in your chair, which takes you through this amazing journey of face shape discovery. And we also have the designer program, which is a self-paced course, which will take you through the journey as well. So 2 opportunities. One's a shorter commitment, one's a longer commitment. But if you really want to know how to design to face shape and customize where that bob line lives and customize, well, the last bob I did was here and that worked for her face, but this bob I'm going to bring here. And the last bob I did had a bevel here with invisible layers, but this bob, I'm going to do some chunky layers through here. I'm going to let that hair swing. So yes, it's still a bob, but it's personalizing the bob to the face shape. So everyone's face is unique. So while you may be doing the same technique over and over again, you are creatively doing something different if you let the face talk to you and you design to face shape. And I know it's been incredibly difficult with the masks, but my suggestion would be have the client take a photograph of herself, front and side, have her go into the bathroom and take that photo so you can design to the photo that she is showing you. And therefore you're customizing it again, but you're customizing to hairlines, you're customizing to the density of the hair, you're customizing to her being short, medium, or tall, you're customizing to an apple, pear, banana body type. You are customizing. We are the last, I think one of the last industries standing, Rosemary, that can customize and can do couture. We are not cookie cutters unless you choose to be a cookie cutter and you have that as a mindset. But everyone sitting in your chair is an opportunity with a creative eye, with an inspired eye to discover something. Because when we have a client come up to us, there are some emotional things that go on that we may not be aware of. The first thing is we can see somebody and we go, whoa, that hair is really intimidating. There's so much of it. Or, oh my gosh, she's got 3 hairs and a parting. It is so intimidating because she hasn't got any hair, right? So that's intimidation. She could ask for something that's a little bit out of your skill set or something you haven't practiced in a while, which makes you go, oh my gosh, she's asking for this. It's a little intimidating. I wonder if I can do it in the time frame that I have. Intimidation. We can get into doing the hair, and then this other emotional driver comes along called frustration. And it's like, the hair's not doing what I want it to do. She's shifting. She's a noddle head. Every time I comb her hair, her head goes with, one of those noddle heads. She is talking. She's on the phone, whatever. Energetically and texturally, the hair could be frustrating. So when we're in intimidation and when we're in frustration, is it hard to be inspired or not? And is it hard to be motivated? Now, if you are an inspiring person and you are motivated to want to give your best to every person that sits in your chair, then you have to be a detective. Your hands need to touch and feel. Your eyes need to search for the beauty. And yes, sometimes we have to search pretty deep. Sometimes it's a challenge, but we search for the aesthetically most beautiful thing. Now, if you check out and only rely on a photograph, I feel that you're not designing to your full potential because it's a photograph of something else on somebody else. And generally speaking, when we just work with photographs, the challenge is she's not sitting in your chair. It's a photograph generally of somebody else. So even, I'll tell you this, even for myself, Rosemary, and I know you've had the same experience too, I can show a photograph to a hairdresser of a hairstyle I had maybe 3 years ago and say, I want it like that. And they could have even done that hairstyle. And sometimes it's a challenge. So we're talking about how do you stay inspired? It's a mindset. Shift the mindset and see how the world shifts in relationship to the mindset that you're putting out there. So to Max's question, the repetition of, this is my 10th painting I'm doing. This is my 10th bob today. Let that face be an inspiration. Let their personality be an inspiration and find little ways to tweak it. Little tiny things, maybe move the parting over differently for the client, something small that can keep it more alive. And when all that fails, which sometimes it does, not everyone who sits in your chair is going to inspire you. But when that's fail, I then say to myself, how do I technically make this the most beautiful haircut I can do without having to go in and twiddle around and fiddle at the end? How can I nail this haircut? I give myself a technical challenge because creatively I'm not inspired.
Yeah. I love that you said that because I remember working with you giving me the opportunity to plant seeds. So when I see a client and I want to see them kind of move into the next season of their life, I may introduce that. And when the time comes, whether it's 6 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever the case is, they remember. And then it triggers your inspiration again, because your creativity is now being tested, because you're like, oh my goodness, what did I say? So it might be off the cuff, but I appreciate it because I verbalized it and they went on a journey with me, even if I may have forgotten that journey 6 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So that's something that, a question that Cindy had is that, what do you do to stay away from, let's say if you're around that negativity or somebody who wants to kind of draw you into complacency and comfort? What inspiration can you give it to those stylists, owners, educators, how to move beyond that black hole, I call it?
It's, that is so difficult because, jealousy or envy can play into our industry so quickly. Jealous that you may be more fully booked, jealous that you do more interesting work, jealous that you're always happy, jealous that it seems like your stars are always in alignment. So sometimes that negativity can come from somebody just being jealous of what you have. And that's really hard, because a wise person will say, I'm jealous of that person, but they're doing something that I'm not, right? Yeah. So what are they doing, and how can I learn? How can I take envy and jealousy and turn that into a learn? And I promise you, when you do that, your attitude to those around you starts to shift, right? Toxic energy is very, very dangerous. In scientific research, and I've heard doctors speak to this in conferences, where they say that for every negative thought, it takes about 24 hours for the brain to purge itself of the negativity. So negativity is a really dangerous thing. And I think you always, when you're around negativity, think, how can I problem solve this? And what are those heart-to-heart conversations to have? Because you're probably spending more time around somebody that you don't care for than the people that you love. You're spending more time working than you're not. So if you're in a salon, then of course it's important to talk to the management and say, listen, these are some blocks here. What can we do to create a more healthy environment? And I think generally when there's conflict or negative people around you that are raining on your parade, you've just got to start thinking about solutions versus focusing on the problem, because what you focus on expands. If you focus on the problem gets bigger and bigger. And the last thing you can go to somebody and say, well, you're always so negative. That's not going to help, right? Distance yourself if you can. I mean, if you can be in a different place in the salon, be the light, be the inspiration, which I know is really hard to do. It is harder to be a light in dark places than it's so easy to be negative. It takes a lot of work and consciousness to be positive and to be motivated. And the more successful you are, the more you can have people resent you. So how do you bring those people and how do you turn them around? You've got to find somewhere where you're in agreement and somewhere where you can build from that one place of agreement. And truly, if it's something that can't be solved, then you have to move on to an environment that is more positive. Because when we choose where we're going to work, it is so important that the energy around us is uplifting, because energetically what we do every day is give and give and give and give. It's hard to be around people that are always putting out their hand, the takers. It's much easier to be around givers. So the culture of the salon, is it a giving, nurturing salon? Is it educationally driven salon? They always say kill with kindness. You're going to get more with honey than you are ever by pointing the finger at somebody. So I think those are all the different elements. But I'm curious, Rosemary, how do you manage that?
I looked for inspiration and I read a lot of books, and then I stop and reflect and I think to myself, is this particular experience or feeling I'm having right now, is it a reflection of my emotion, or is it more along a hold to what I'm trying to create? So I really focus on the moment and saying, how much of a difference is this going to make an hour from now? Is this going to define me? is this going to hold me back? Because at the end of the day, I want the journey to be at its best. And I want to walk away feeling like I've given my best.
Yeah. Yeah. That's very important. And I think the other aspect, I'd like to continue to welcome people who are joining us. Our subject today is about staying inspired. How do we stay inspired? And we're speaking specifically right now to how do we stay inspired when we have a toxic environment around us? And, you know, that when it becomes dangerous is human behavior is contagious. And so if you're around people who are pulling down in your world, eventually you will, if you're not a strong person with, you know, meditate and you do all the things to keep yourself in that very positive place, you will end up diluted and you'll end up more like the negative people because it's harder to climb, it's easier to fall. Think about it physically. Climbing up something takes time, but falling off a ladder, falling down is pretty quick.
Yeah.
And the recovery from falling down takes a long time. And the whole goal, when you fall down, you better hope that you're looking up so you can get back up again. And, you know, you basically are failing forward. And some people are not stepping into their greatness because they're frightened of failing. Some people are not stepping into their greatness because what will people say? Some people have limiting beliefs and they're living their beliefs, which has become a truth. So therefore, they can never go to the greatness that's within them because they're sabotaging themselves. And we always have to say, am I living my life with my handbrake on, right? So if you think about it, if we were to get into a car, your car can be like a career. If we're going on a road trip, if we went on a road trip and we didn't have enough gas in the car, could be a problem, right, for our road trip. And if we didn't know where we're going, we don't either have a GPS or a map or a destination, it's going to be a little worrisome. We're in the car and we're driving. We have no plan. We don't really have enough juice on the way. We are going a long distance and maybe we have no snacks or anything to kind of nourish us on our journey, right? We could be alone or we could be with someone where we wish we were alone, right? So who we take with us. We could be driving, but the person next to us is a backseat driver and they're telling us how to drive and what we should do and what we shouldn't do. So it's like, well, then you take over the wheel, right? If you criticize my driving one more time, you take over the wheel, right? But they're a backseat driver. No, you drive. It's okay. No, you drive, right? Our careers can be like that. Our careers can be that we step into something and we don't have enough resources to keep us going. Our careers can be that we don't really have a GPS. Well, we'll just see what happens. We don't have goals. We don't have a plan. Our careers can be like, well, we don't have the right support team around us. So how will we ever be successful when we don't have the right supporters around us? So if we're talking about being inspired, you have to set yourself up to be inspiring and to have inspiration around you, right? And yeah, you've got to get all those stars in alignment so that you set yourself up to be successful.
That is so amazing. I'm a little taken back. I'm like, now what was my other question?
Don't know. Drugs are working, guys. Do you like my dress?
I love your dress. Well, it's a twirl.
No, I'm a big tent, really. It's good from here up. From the bottom down, it's not as good. I do look like a bit of a tent, but shoulders up, it's good. And it's getting really hot in here. For those of you who missed my beginning thing, my air conditioning is broken, so I'm having like a real hot moment.
You're really having your own personal summer right now.
Yeah, but you know what? One of the things that I'm passionate about is helping hairdressers be fabulous. Yeah. And I've done it for over 45 years. And I'm proud of the iconic, famous hairdressers that I've trained who are now icons and influencers all of themselves. And one of the things that I train people is that you have to understand probably the hardest conversation of all, how the head is processing, how the heart feels, how the gut feels about something, and getting the hands in agreement. Your head can say one thing, your heart can say something else, and your gut can say something else. I don't just teach you technique, and I break down my technique to simplify it. I'm not really a fan of gimmicks. I like things that withstand the passage of time. I like a strong technique that you can repeat, that you're in control of, that builds confidence, that increases your speed and increases your value behind the chair. So that's the technical. But I'm also a fan of talking about the creative process. How do you make those decisions? How do you determine that right length? How do you determine when it's working and when it's not working? How do you develop your sense of style? That's huge. What does that look like? Because developing that style, that flair, that's you, is something you cultivate. Well, that's the creative process. So I teach people how to become more creative. And that is such a wonderful way of staying inspired. And that journey, please, if you haven't been to VivianMcIntyre.com, please do go there and you will see some of the courses that we have where I hold your hand with intention and guide you through a virtual experience. And we're also launching in September our first virtual series where the designer program, it's a step-by-step, week by week, we take you through the entire program. And I promise you, if you invest in the time and the money, I promise you, you will love who you become on this journey and you will be transformed. Because I'm not just teaching you how to hold hair at a 45-degree angle and cut it off. Everyone can do that. I mean, let's face it, our industry has so much education out there, free, paid, whatever. But you've got to find the teacher, the mentors that have the track record, that have the consistency, that have the credibility, that have a broad repertoire, so you're not going to become boring, and that you can trust in to take you on your journey, to invest in you. Because I promise when you invest in you, you're going to have so much more inspiration, which is, of course, our subject today.
Yes, it certainly is. Actually, you should put Mind Reader on your resume because that was actually my last question.
Mind Reader. Oh, okay. Oh, what's that?
Well, my last question is, how do you help somebody who doesn't have any inspiration and feel lost? You know, how, like, the words of wisdom, and you just share it, really. I mean, you can expand on it, of course.
But I think you've got to believe. You've got to find something to believe in. Something, somewhere, something to believe in. You've got to find some place where you find joy. And you build brick by brick to build the wall. And to build the connections to take you to that place. Because attitude is everything, you know, and yeah, you know, we've all been beaten up in business. We all have worries, but how we manage those worries is a huge thing. My husband is in the design world and he works with very wealthy clients. It's not unusual for him to see a black platinum American Express, which means you've got limitless money. He works with billionaires. He goes into their homes. You can tell a lot about a person the way they decorate their home. It's their space. He sees how the wife and the husband communicate with each other. And of course, he has amazing clients who really got it right. But he's got very famous people as well, very famous politically, celebrities, so on and so forth. And he comes back so many times and says, I just came to this place, you know, it's $50 million home. You know, I drove down the driveway for 10 minutes before I saw the house. The staff are all talking into their wrists because they're all like, you know, da 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 da. And he said, and it just was so sad. They're not happy. They're worrying about more stuff. The stuff owns them, right? And it's like you've got all of this stuff. You've worked so hard. So you've climbed the ladder of success. But the question is your ladder leaning against the right building? And I'm not saying, hey, don't go for money. Of course, that makes the world go around. But at what price? So you can have people that have driven so hard in their career that they have destroyed many things along the way. You know, I've done crazy things like that on a personal level. I've made silly sacrifices. I've been around the world now probably 3 or 4 times around the world. I've been to so many countries, stood on so many stages around the world and had some incredible experiences. So the audience sees, oh, that beautiful show, or the audience sees you all dressed up and sees the beautiful models, sees the great photo shoots, sees all that glamour and glitz. They don't see the grubby backstage. They don't see that you were up at 3 a.m. You've only had 4 hours sleep. They don't see that you're jet lagged. They don't see that you're worried. They don't see that. They just like, oh, let's have a good show, right? They don't see that. And they don't see, oh, I just left my husband at home. And this is now, I've only seen him for 3 days in this entire month. Oh, I just, all the things that get neglected because of that. And I have now such an amazing archive of hair heroes, the most famous hairdressers in the world. And I guarantee you could speak to all of them. They love what they do. They're passionate about the craft. They want to give. They're amazing people. I don't just go for people who do great hair. I go for people who are great. Inside first. Honor, virtue, integrity. That's non-negotiable, right? We all do good hair. We all do bad hair. We all have a good day. We all have a bad day. But underneath that, the honor, the integrity, the virtue, those qualities are huge. So I have been around greatness, but I'll tell you, they've all made huge sacrifices on a personal level, which they chose to do. So I think that when you're looking for how do I stay inspired today, take yourself on an artist date if you can. And whether it's just writing a journal of what you're grateful for, gratitude is the hugest way to manifest tomorrow in a more positive way. When you're grateful for something, you can be grateful for something that hasn't arrived in your life yet. And when you have the energy and the enthusiasm of, oh my gosh, I can't believe it, I'm going to have my new salon space, and you fill that space if that's what you want. And oh my gosh, I've got clients that are just loving what I'm doing, and I have more time because my technique is better. Oh my gosh, you're looking at all those amazing things. When you manifest that, and when that is your heart of gratitude and appreciation, it's amazing when you put that out there, how the universe starts to kind of like bring it in. It's like, oh, wow, that client really did like it. Oh, wow. Because we're putting it out there versus being fear-based. Fear-based is very hard to be inspired when you're in fear. The adrenaline of excitement is different to the fear of, oh my God, what if it goes wrong? What if it goes wrong? What if it goes wrong? Well, fail forward. Do it afraid. It's called courage, right? Do it afraid. So if you've not done it before, just go out there. That's why we have mannequin heads too.
We love Viola.
We do love all of our mannequin heads. I've learned so much on those mannequin heads, and I've kicked a few around, let me tell you that. So has today been helpful to our friends?
I think it's beyond helpful. I mean, you have some thank yous, you have greetings, they love your pearls of wisdom. I don't even have the words because it was so valuable.
Well,
you poured into me. Thank you.
Thank you. So here's my request of you guys. Do please go to VivianMcKinder.com. Take some time and explore and see if there's anything there that inspires you. And just connect with us. We're here to serve. We're here to help you. And our heart is that we make you great artists. We make you technically strong and highly creative. And that's our burning desire. So my new platform is Vivian McKinder. And I know there's many of you that are familiar with Hair Designer TV. That still does exist. But we're starting to put all of our new content on Vivian McKinder. So go and explore. And we look forward to seeing you again next week at the same time. Anything you'd like to hear me speak about, please do send us a message and let us know what you'd like to hear. What's on your mind? What are you looking for in education? What's your burning desire? How can I and my team serve and help you? Tell us so we may deliver and help you. And I think that's the most important thing of all. And if you're around this afternoon at 1 o'clock, do check back in because we've got some fun things we're going to do. Have a blessed day. Rosemary, thank you so much for being with me. And until next week.
Until next week. Thank you, guys. Sorry about the echo. Technology.
Bye.